What's up, bookworms? This is Dani Reads, and today I am doing my July wrap-up with my special guest, Heather.
I'm special.
So there were a couple of books that we did read in the same month, so we're going to be talking about those, but then there are books that her and I read separately that we did not read together and or at the same time. So without further ado, there's a lot of books, so let's just get into it. So the first book that I read in the month of July was Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. I really liked this book of poems. It is separated into 4 different sections: the loving, the hurting, the breaking, and the healing, and it's all about her life and going through surviving or being like a rape victim and surviving that, and then learning that there's more to you than being a rape victim. And the hurting and the loving were my 2 favorites. The healing and the breaking, some of the poems did go over my head, but overall I really enjoyed this book, and I did give it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished in the month of July was Yellow Brick War by Danielle Page. It took me 4 months to read this book. So let's just start there. I did start this right when I was hitting a really big reading slump. I didn't want to read anything. I literally hadn't touched a book in a couple of months. So it was just ill timing. I really did enjoy this book. It probably wasn't my favorite of the series so far, but I definitely still enjoyed it. I think Amy is developing really well, who's the main character. I obviously can't go into detail what this is about because it's the third book in the series. But the Dorothy Must Die series is probably one of my top series ever. So I'm really excited to get to the 4th book. I'm not going to say it's the last one because every time I think it's the last book, Danielle comes out with another one. So yeah, I have the 4th book to read and then a couple of the novellas, but I'm really excited to stay in this world, but I'm just really excited that I finally finished this. And I did give this a 4 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I and Heather read in the month of July was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which I felt that it was very hard to get into at the beginning. I think it was a little bit harder because I was listening to it on audiobook, so I couldn't just like slowly kind of try and understand what was going on. Right,
because it is a lot of like, it's a world with magic, there's 4 different Londons, and there's these people who can travel in and out of them. And I think that's what made it hard, is if you're physically reading it, you can go slower and you can place those different places in your mind, just like with any world building in a series. But in this, when it's going so quickly, unless you feel like stopping it and going back, it does kind of, all of a sudden you're like, an hour and you're like, wait a minute, how did we get there? Yeah. So I totally get that, but I still gave it 4. I think I probably,
yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I just felt like at the beginning,
I thought for sure you were
hard to
like
get
3.
into it. No. I definitely want to pick up the rest of the series. There are 2 other books in the series, but for me, it's not a priority. Like, I liked it, but there's a lot of other things I want to get to first.
Right, yeah, it was still enjoyable. I did get a little bit lost like further in, and I had to re-go through part of it, but overall I thought it was still a really good book. Not the most amazing thing, and I don't know if I'm gonna be reading the next one. If I do, it's not gonna be anytime soon. Stop.
So the next book that I listened to in the month of July was Everything I Never Told You. Couldn't tell you who the author is, but you'll see it on the...
Because they didn't tell you?
No, they didn't tell me.
And you're not going to tell them?
No, I don't remember. I'll tell you why. I did not care for this book at all. I rated it a 1 star. The synopsis is very misleading from what it's actually about. In the synopsis, it talks about this girl whose family finds out that she died and all stuff, and 90% of the story is not about her. And that kind of ticked me off because that's what I wanted to know about. I wanted to learn about her life and everything. Like, they were going back like through the parents, like when they first met and all this stuff, and it was like an hour worth of the audiobook that I was listening to their
stuff that you didn't need to know.
How her parents met. Like, I did not care. I didn't care for pretty much any of the characters but the one who was dead. Because once they finally once the author decided to, you know, put the 3 seconds of info about her, I really kind of connected with her character. But other than that, I did not like it. If you want a further review of something that is not just, oh, I didn't like it, I can do another video review of just this book. Leave your comments down below, let me know, and I will do that.
I can vouch, she definitely has some stuff to say about it because she was venting multiple times whilst reading that book.
I would have to do a spoiler review because there is just a lot of stuff in there that, oh my god, it just made me so mad. And I don't passionately dislike books that often, but if I could have given it a 0 stars, I would have. I know that sounds really harsh, but that's just where I'm at. So if this is one of your favorite books, I'm sorry, but not sorry because I did not enjoy it.
So the next book I read was Secrets in the Stone by Radcliffe. It's an LGBT love story, more it's on the adult side. And then this one specifically is about a girl named Rook. She's a stonemason. She ends up liking to do a lot of like sculptures, and someone sees her work via a way that she didn't want it to happen, but they found her and were trying to recruit her to go and, you know, show her work, so sell it and all that stuff. And so there is kind of almost a love triangle, and then it ends up being obviously a couple that happens at the end, but just super easy read. But it was good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's probably because I'm just partial to the content.
Next book that I read in the month of July was Hunters of the Dusk by Darren Shan. This is the 7th book in the Cirque du Freak series. Slowly but surely I'm getting through this. Not that I don't like it, it's just the writing is very simplistic that I can't. It's a kid's series. Yeah. So I'm really actually enjoying it. Most children's books I have been learning that I cannot stand because of the simplicity of the writing, but the story of this is just so good, and I'm so in love with all of the characters, like even side characters. I care about what's happening to them. So I'm really excited to continue with the series. Like I said in another video, I'm probably just gonna pick up one of these a month just to like slowly get through it. Since I only have 8 through 12 left, it won't take me too long. But I feel like
for recommending that to you.
I've been reading this series for a really long time, and I do want to finish it out.
I'd have to actually read this off of my notes. The next one that I read was Hidden Figures, the untold true story of 4 African American women who helped launch our nation into space by Margot Lee Shetterly. The history that we don't know is astounding to me, and this unfortunately is the time where I say watch the movie. And the only reason for that is because the book, as much as there's still a lot of really good information, and it's the information you get from the movie too, it felt very fact, and that was it. There was no connection through it. I mean, I know that these women were real and they really did this, you know, but they're still a story, and I feel like there was no story to it. It felt, which I mean, if it was just meant to be a fact-based thing, like that's fine. Yeah. But I feel like it should have been written in bullet points then, because it just did not. It was hard. It was very hard to just like keep reading sentence after sentence of just then they did this, and then that was this, and then she had this, and then this was that. You know, it was like for a story, it just didn't really work. So I still gave it 3 out of 5 stars because the only thing that took away was the way it was written.
So the next book that I completed in the month of July is Rainbow High by Alex Sanchez. This took me a month and a half to read. It's not long. It's probably...
You just kept putting it down.
It's just under 300 pages. I felt that the characters were very whiny. I liked the first book a lot better. This is a trilogy. I will not be picking up the 3rd book. I did still rate this a 3 out of 5 stars, only because the issues that this book touches on, they're important. And for the LGBT community, the book is from the perspective of 3 gay men, or boys, they're like 17. But the things that they go through in this, from the spectrum of coming out to scare of having HIV. It's all in there, and it's so important that people read this because these issues are real.
All the time,
and
definitely.
I feel like there's a lot more female romance books out there where male is a little bit harder to find. So I do recommend it. The first book is way better. I think if I read them back to back, I would have enjoyed this one a lot more, but I did wait like a year or two to read this one, so maybe I'm just too old now to care about high school drama.
Yeah, if it feels more contrived.
Yeah, most of it was just like high school drama that I could have done without. But yeah, the serious issues that were touched in here were really, really important. So I did appreciate the book for that, and I think Alex Sanchez is a really good author. If he has any other books out there, I'll probably pick them up because I do enjoy his writing. So the next book that we both read in the month of July was A Man Called Uva by Frederick Backman. I love this book so
5
much.
out of 5.
I gave it a 5 out of 5 too.
So fast.
Oh
so
my gosh.
fast.
Books. Okay, so this is I'm gonna give this a warning for people who haven't read it. This is a very character-driven book. It is not plot-driven, which is not my style whatsoever. I like a good plot that's fast and hard and whatever. So
yeah, it's about...
you have to be patient.
It's about a grumpy
good.
old guy who his wife passed. And he is a type of guy where he likes order, he likes rules,
Yes.
he likes structure.
Yeah.
And so he still goes about his daily routine, and he takes it upon himself to do these sweeps of the neighborhood, and he checks on things and stuff like that, and that's how he gets through his days. And then all of a sudden his life is disrupted, and it's disrupted by this young family that moves in next door, and all of a sudden, you know, they're like changing things, and they're asking him for favors, and you know, then there's a slight thing happens, and yet it completely rocks his world.
Yeah.
And then it's about basically his experiences with this family, and all the feels.
Yeah.
All the feels.
I feel like I'm gonna be
so good.
him when I'm that age.
Except for not on rules. You're just gonna be grumpy.
I'm just gonna be real grumpy. No, like I would probably use my age to then be like a stickler to the rules and be like, well, I'm old, so you have to listen.
You have to listen to me.
I don't get emotional in books very often, and if I wasn't in public whilst finishing this book, I would probably have been sobbing. So it's definitely an emotional book. You definitely have to be ready for the ride of it. But
so good.
It'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, but it's so good. So the next book that I read in the month of July was Another Day by David Levithan. As you guys know, David Levithan is my all-time favorite author forever and always. Having said that, this was not my favorite book. If you haven't read Every Day, which is the first book in this duology, read it. I don't want to say this isn't necessary, but I was reading other people's reviews and they actually really enjoyed this book. I just didn't like the main character. I felt like she was very much, too much of a victim, and I feel like the way that her boyfriend was written was very mentally and emotionally abusive, and it kind of made it seem like it was okay for that. That's just a perspective I got. Obviously other people had different perspectives, but anyways, this book is pretty much Every Day, but from the other main character's point of view. So Every Day was about a person who body jumps and wakes up in a different body every morning and only is that person for one day. So in this book, it is about the other main character that the first main character meets and starts to kind of develop a relationship for. And it's from her point of view and how she saw everything. So I thought it was really interesting, but it wasn't my favorite. And yeah, but David Levithan did say that he is trying to come up with a third book for this series, and I'm really excited. He said he doesn't know it was in his like epilogue or whatever. He doesn't know when or how or what's going to happen with these two characters, but he said he's eventually going to bring them back again to kind of find out what happens afterwards, because both these books like literally follow the same exact storyline, so they end at the same spot on both books. So I just really want to know what happens to these characters because I do really like them more than Rhiannon, but It is what it is. But Dave Levin is still my favorite, and I still rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. And the next book that I finished in the month of July was To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I should have read this in high school.
Yeah, pretty much everyone else did.
I didn't. I couldn't be bothered. And that's with anything with assigned reading in high school. If I had to read it, I didn't read it.
I was the same way.
I think the only book I ever read in high school for required reading was Beowulf, and that was because my teacher read it to us.
So yeah, I did Hatchet, but I also had to read To Kill a Mockingbird in high school.
Yeah.
Oh, Hatchet was middle school, just kidding.
So, To Kill a Mockingbird, I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Scout is definitely my favorite. I'm kind of sad that To Set a Watchman, I believe it's called, by Harper Lee, wasn't as good as everyone is saying it is. So I probably won't be picking it up, but Scout is definitely my favorite. Right under that is Boo Radley, of course. I mean, I feel like Boo Radley is one of the beloved characters that you just can't not love. And last but not least, what we both read in the month of July, which is spoilers for my readathon wrap up, because I did read this during the readathon, but since she read it too, we're gonna talk about it now. And that is Atlantia by Ali Condi.
So much promise, so much potential.
Disappointment.
Yeah, it's like it was good in theory, but like just the horrible execution. Yeah, it was just so much letdown. I felt like a lot of the writing was written in a way of like, hey, this is what's happening, and I'm gonna tell you it again, and then I'm gonna tell you one more time just in case you didn't get it, and then after that, I'm gonna conclude it by re-explaining what had just happened. Yeah. So that was annoying. Yeah. And then the plot didn't really. It didn't go anywhere. And anything that did happen was totally predictable.
Yeah. I kind of had that expectation only because I did see a lot of reviews saying that it wasn't that good. And with reading Ali Condi's Matched series, that's where my hope kind of came in, because Matched I thought was decent, and then the rest of the series went downhill. So I was like, oh, maybe with it being a standalone,
that's true, she
can redeem herself, but it just wasn't there. I rated it either a 1 or 2 stars.
I know, I gave it a 2, and I think that's because I was giving it more kudos for the idea.
She's too nice.
With it was just
ratings.
I know I am. But I was giving it basically because I loved the idea of it. I mean, a city that's playing off of Atlantis, and there's people's fascination with that. I mean, you have this city that no one's. There's this promise, and it just
fell flat.
Did not deliver. So I know I still gave it 2, but it probably didn't deserve it.
No. Yeah, I think 2 was a pretty nice rating for
I'm just
me
a nice
to
person.
give. I'm even saying for me.
Oh, that's insane that you did that. She's very stingy with her stars. So, very stingy.
You gotta impress me.
Wow.
Alright, so that is all we have today for our July wrap up. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video, where you can see all the things that I read in both the readathons I participated in. Did I fail? Did I succeed? You'll just have to stay tuned for tomorrow. Like this video if you liked it, obviously.
I mean, you can, even if you didn't like it, you can still hit a thumbs up. That'd be fine.
Like an angry, just...
Yeah, hit it very angrily, but make sure you hit the thumbs up.
Comment down below if you've read any of these books, or if you
what your
plan on
opinions
reading them. Yeah, let me know. Let's have a discussion. Is there a book in here that I really didn't like but you loved? Let's have a discussion about it.
Give your argument.
Yeah.
Plead your case.
Maybe I'll look at it different at the end of the day. Probably not, but you know, we can discuss.
There's hope.
Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, since I have been a little bit inconsistent lately, sorry, you can hit that bell right next to the subscribe button, and you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Other than that, that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow with another wrap up, and yeah, so keep reading, keep smiling. Bye guys.